Cyclone Nation, what better way to kick off the 2025 college football season than cheering on your Cyclones in the Aer Lingus College Football Classic in Dublin, Ireland? Whether it's a quick trip to Dublin for the game, a multi-city adventure throughout the Irish countryside, or premium game day hospitality, there is a package for you. Visit cyclones2ireland.com for information on official travel and hospitality packages. That's Cyclones, the number 2, Ireland.com.
I'm Chris Williams from Cyclone Fanatic and a proud Iowa State graduate from the class of 2007. No one shows up like Iowa State fans.
And Cyclones support Cyclones on and off the field.
Your gift can provide scholarships to students, fund groundbreaking research. We could even drum up opportunities for the marching band. Visit MoveWhatMatters.com to learn how you can make an impact today.
Welcome into Kickin It. I'm Jeff Woody here with Grant Mahoney. That last Williams ad, it always kills me. It always kills me.
Put your arms down, man.
I know it. So for those that only ever listen on audio, just like take a chance, just watch this on video just one time, and like you get like Chris is such a fun conversation, like just to be around. But like reading lines, you could tell he's at the old Ricky Bobby. Like I don't know what to do with my hands. It's just acting is not a strong suit. Podcasting, great. Reporting, great. Not acting.
Little rigid on the acting.
Little rigid on the acting. Anyway, as I said, this is Kickin It. We are, as always, brought to you by Kelderman Manufacturing. Kelderman.com. It is Father's Day right around the corner. If you want to get your dad something cool, something custom, it's probably a little bit late to do it for the actual day itself, but you can provide a card and say, this is what I got you. And then when the process of thing gets done, you can say, here, happy Father's Day. But maybe we'll turn it around in time. Jeff Kelderman could do fantastic things. We normally have a guest here on during the summers, but there's been a lot of stuff that has happened between the time that you and I have actually just talked on mic regarding, like, I don't know, stuff around. So it's sort of the annual.
A lot of people are on vacation right now too.
Yeah, so it's sort of like the annual questions have piled up, and we finally need to like take the suggestion box and the question box and open it up. So this is our mailbag episode. You posed questions on the forum and on X, I think.
Just on Cyclone Fanatic.
Okay. So just the true fanatics that are asking questions on there. But is there an Iowa pork what I miss on social media this week?
Yeah, there is.
They didn't agree to like officially sponsor this segment. We're just like shoehorning them into this segment. So hopefully the people at Iowa Pork are okay with that.
Don't be a dork. Don't be a dork. Eat your pork.
It was a bacon morning, and last night we made 2 nights ago we made Italian pork sausage.
Nice.
And crumbled that up, browned it, put it on pizza. Pretty damn good.
Yeah,
Big pork household the last few days.
I made a quiche the other day and had some pork in there.
Quishy?
Take that back. Bacon in there, which is a form of pork.
Quiche.
Yeah. Yeah, so you might have seen this, but maybe not. So in game 1 of the NBA Finals, they had nothing on the court, no logos, no nothing, and NBA fans were just bitching at the NBA. Like, this is boring. You know, they had that middle of the season tournament where they played on a funky court, and it was fun. Well, the NBA heard the fans' feedback, and I don't know if you saw this, Jeff, but in game 2, there were logos on the court. So they superimposed the Larry O'Brien trophies here.
Okay.
So those are not actually on the court.
It's just the digital projection of it.
Yeah, because I've heard that, you know, temporary logos like that are slippery. So not only did they do that, Larry O'Brien trophies were in the first half. They decided to switch it in the second half and go with the cursive finals. This is from the same game. So I thought when I saw that, I'm like, did they just switch out the logos? And I thought there's no way that I guess maybe they could have like at halftime ripped up the old ones and put these ones on. Maybe the Larry O'Brien trophy, ones were too slippery. But then come to find out, no, they're superimposed. They're not actually on there.
Which is actually pretty cool. Like, for the sake of, I mean, technology's coming. It's like the yellow line for a first down, or the blue line is the line of scrimmage or whatever. Like all the stuff you can put on the screen now. Or like golf is actually a big leader in that as far as like the being able to put stuff on screen.
Like Shot Tracer.
Yeah, the top tracer by Top Golf, presented by in sponsorship with Callaway, which God, nobody does corporate sponsorships like the PGA. Anyway, so we mentioned last time with the Schuster episode that like I'm an NBA fan when it comes to the last 3 rounds of the playoffs. But then you just compare, like, I'm always a broadcast fan. So, like, working in sports media, like actually television broadcasting, like working in that, like, I'm a big, like, I don't know why. I did read an article that ESPN may or may not be considering, like, changing Doris Burke's contract. Doris Burke is great. Like, she is awesome in the broadcast. The problem, I think, that they have is their halftime and their pregame shows are always bad. And that's why they got the TNT show and they're moving that over, and that's a whole nother thing. But one of the things I do feel like has a legitimate gripe with like the not having Larry O'Brien trophy on there, the Super Bowl has freaking 9 hours of lead-in programming that it's a huge deal. Now, granted, it's one game, it's not 7 games or a series or whatever, but think about the World Series. Like the World Series, the Yankees-Dodgers last year, there is, I mean, Alex Rodriguez and Derek Jeter and David Ortiz and that pregame show by Fox, they got that thing on 2 hours before the game, and they're doing starting lineups, they're doing watching people warm up, it is wall to wall just before the game. It makes it feel like a big deal. They do the national anthem, like Ice Cube does the West Coast thing for the game 1 in LA, and like they make it a big deal. You're like, this is the freaking World Series, and it sets the context for like, this is huge. And the ESPN on NBA, or NBA and ESPN, when they're doing the finals, they just cut to Mike Breen, and welcome to game 2 of the finals, and there's tip-off. And you're like, oh, this is like a Thursday in February. We're just watching basketball. Like I don't care about the Larry O'Brien trophy, but it's just like being able to lead it in and do it. And I think that I feel with TNT not doing it, I feel like they are probably going to steal a lot of what TNT does to make it a little bit better of a thing, because that is weird superimposed Larry O'Brien and NBA Finals things. Like that's a Band-Aid on the problem.
Yeah, and they do have a pregame show, but it's nothing like the NFL pregame show or
the TNT one.
Yeah, Chuck and Shaq and those hooligans.
Yeah, but that's legit. Like that's why they just more or less bought that show and traded that show. But yeah, I didn't see that I was actually at a Coheed and Cambria concert last night at Vibrant Coheed and Cambria. It's Aiden, you ever heard of them? You too young?
No,
Coheed and
you
Cambria?
missed me.
Nope. Okay.
Sorry.
The Taylor Swift Coheed audience is probably it's not a super big Venn diagram. But it's like a somewhere between a metal and an alt rock band. And I have 2 beefs. I'm an old man.
Jeff's junk.
Jeff's junk. Haven't shown Jeff's junk in a while.
Oh.
Got to bring some Jeff's junk out.
That's never good.
Just flop it on the table.
Whoa.
So at a concert, and it's a rock concert, heavy. And for those that
hold on, you had your junk out of the concert?
No, I'm taking my junk out right now. No,
Louise.
no, it's the junk from the concert. Just haven't been able to process it and just bringing it out now. But 2 beefs. One is if you're in a band, and so it was supposed to be Coheed and Cambria is the headliner, and Mastodon, which is not my cup of tea. It's like thrash metal. It's like Pantera, like that kind of vibe. Like it's fine. It's not my thing. It's a little harder than what I generally tend to like. But those are the 2 on the bill. And I was like, okay, Mastodon comes on at 6:30, give or take 45 minutes or an hour for that set. 15 or 20 minutes for a setup. Coheed's going to show up 7:30, 7:45. I don't need to get to Mastodon right away because I know it's not my thing. There to watch Coheed. There was an unlisted opener that opened for 30 minutes before Mastodon, plus a set change, plus Mastodon, plus another set change. Then Coheed shows up at like 8:45.
So you watched all of Mastodon?
Not had to. It was a cool show. Like it's fine. Like
he says at the new place in Waukee.
It was Vibrant in Waukee, but it wasn't listed, And so like just let me know. Like just let me know who all is going to be at the show. So that's beef number one. Beef number two, and this might be just old man, but I like my vision. Like I like being able to see.
Oh God, get off my lawn.
And I'm a huge fan of lights. Like, make the show a show. Like the lasers and stuff like that, the spotlights, it's kind of cool. But there is red and white. I'm talking like spotlights, like the size of your head, 3,000 watt LEDs that are flashing between red and white, and they're kind of like panning them around and like probably really cool to look at from the stage. But one of those sons of bitches like flashes right at your eyeballs. It legit feels like you're staring into the sun, and it just pops into your eyes, and just you don't know where it's coming from because there's like all 65 different lights that are flashing. So there's a couple songs where I had to like pull my hat down and just not look at the stage because I was getting like screamed at. Yeah, old man yells at cloud.
This is Jeff.
Don't do strobe lights at the crowd, like strobe spotlights at the crowd. So just as a lighting design thing, and also just let me know who's on the bill. Those are my two things.
Have you ever heard of the band Tool?
Yes.
Do you like their music?
It is. It's interesting. Like that's an event. That's an event.
Have you ever been to one of their concerts?
No.
My brother is a huge Tool fan. He's been to 30 of their shows, and Tool's in town. I don't know, 4 or 5 years or so ago, and I went with them. I was like, yeah, sure, whatever, I'll go with you. Awesome show.
It's got to be. It's got to be.
I can appreciate the music.
Musicality. The
Awesome
rhythm.
show.
The rhythm of that group is insane. The next one we're going to is Modest Mouse at Valor Ballroom.
Okay. I would say if Tool is in Des Moines, give them a shot. The show is fantastic. If you're into kind of stuff, the show is fantastic, and the music is. I like their music enough.
Yeah,
I'd go see them again.
I would. Tool. Yeah, Coheed is pretty similar to Tool. So like, yeah, it's not quite as rhythmically different, but like the vocalist is just crazy.
Yeah.
Anyway, that I didn't get to watch the finals because I was at the Coheed concert.
That's okay. Finals number one. The Pacers had no business winning that game, and they did. Tyrese has not played very well so far in the postseason, which he needs to pick it up.
This series, these first two games, like played well in the postseason. Just
these two games. He needs to play well. If the Pacers are going to have a chance to win, it's a very big uphill task. They've already got. I mean, they had to get one in Oklahoma City. They did. Now they need to hold serve at home. They have to win both of these games to put pressure on Oklahoma City, and then they can afford to lose the next one at Oklahoma City and then win at home. I hope the series goes 7, but
the NBA is weird though, because like in the Timberwolves Thunder series, there was one game where the Timberwolves beat the Thunder like 140-100.
Yeah.
And then Thunder won the series. Like
in
just
5 games. Yeah.
Kicked the shit out of them that one game, and then turned around and the other way. So I don't know. I'm excited. When's the next game? Because it's in Indiana Wednesday, something like that. Because I got to travel.
Yeah, I'm not sure when it is.
Tuesday or Wednesday.
They have 3 days. They have 3 days in between. So it was Sunday, so it'll be Wednesday then.
Okay. Anyway, fun series so far. I mean, other than
it is, and I hope it's not. I hope it doesn't go 5 games. The next one's Wednesday. Next game's Wednesday. I hope it does not go 5 games. I want it to be a competitive series because the Thunder have looked like the better team so far, but the Pacers they're a gritty team, and you can't be up 15 in the fourth quarter and blow that lead.
Yeah, the Pacers do that to everybody. Okay, Aiden, you're going to be the moderator, yes, on this, asking the questions. Okay, serve them up. Mail time.
Starting with Scotty P. Which player (S), so which players from when you played would have excelled / flourished under the Campbell staff?
You want to go first?
Yeah, I will. I think the first guy that comes to mind, I didn't play with him, I just missed him, is Corey Morrissey. I feel like he would really do well in the Campbell. I mean, I think anybody who he would have played for would be great. He's a gritty guy. He's a hardworking dude. Always shows up on time, and I think he's one of those guys that put in extra effort before and after practice that was maybe a little unique to the Rhodes era. We had a lot of guys who were just dicking around. As soon as the game was over on Saturdays, we were going to the bars. Whereas the Campbell era, those guys are in the indoor on Tuesday evenings in the off season, Friday afternoons in the off season. You could have caught me at Size Roost on Fridays during the season, but in the off season. So he's probably the first one that comes to mind.
Yeah, Corey would be good. He would be the rush end, kind of the Will McDonald position, because I think he's big enough that he could play the other one. But we needed a pass rush guy because he's got a lot of power moves. Yeah, Corey would be a good one.
I think
The ones that-
AJ Klein also kind of fits the mold as well.
AJ'd be good anywhere. Jake would be good anywhere. Like the guys that kind of come to mind to me are offensive. Because I think the thing that the Campbell staff does better, and I would say the 3 Herman years were similar-ish to the Campbell offenses, just the talent hadn't quite gotten there. And I would say, again, the Campbell staff is better at it just because you look at the proofs in the pudding. They've got more wins. They've got more production. They've got more guys in the NFL. So the proof's in the pudding. But in the similar ballpark is that what Herman did a really good job of is putting guys in situations to succeed by getting the best players in the field. Like, however you want to slice it, Jake Williams, one of the best wide receivers. I'm not saying Jake would be better in the Campbell staff versus Rhodes staff because he did play pretty well, but somebody like Jake Williams is we're going to get him on the field, and I don't know exactly what he's going to do, but he needs to be on the field because he's one of our best 11. So the guys that kind of come to mind are in that vein. Who does that really well? I think a guy like Colin Franklin, who he was a tight end, he's a receiving tight end. He's super skilled, very Charlie Kohler-esque in that. Great basketball player, like as far as just body position, knows exactly what. So Hollywood, Colin Franklin was
very
one.
handsome too.
Charming, just beautiful. He's a beautiful man.
He's making music. Nice. He was doing now.
No, I didn't.
Him and Draw Black are making music. Like,
I mean, I can see that
house music. It's pretty groovy.
I can actually see that. That feels like it tracks. And then the other two are also like guys that did well for the Rhodes staff, but like how good would Austin Arnott have been in the Campbell staff, being able to find and access the strengths, sort of like he in similar ways to what he did with Herman, but I think even to a greater degree of like finding more specific points. And then the other one, Alexander Robinson would have 1,700 rushing yards. I mean, just because they would get him in position. Him and Brees had a very similar running style. Brees is more powerful, bigger, but very similar running style, super smooth. Everything's about accuracy, super precise, great timing. So I feel like A-Rob, Arnott, and Colin Franklin are the 3 guys to me that would have done really, really well there. Another guy who defensively is David Sims.
I was going to say David Sims and Dion. Obviously, because he's on the staff right now.
I think David Sims would play that Bo Freeler, Aisheem Young.
Yep.
I mean, because that dude, I mean, I was bigger. I outweighed him by 25, 30 pounds. I don't think I ever... we pushed like a neutral, like we hit each other hard and we go sideways as opposed to one going the other. But I don't think I ever was able to like truck him, like run over him, and I outweighed him by 25 pounds. That dude is strong. And strong with a K.
I don't think he has an ounce of body fat on him. No. He's one muscle. And
no, never did.
When I think of David Sims, I just think of heat-seeking missile.
Another person that comes to mind is Jake McDonough. Sure. Because he's kind of built like any Wazirike is, and so could flex to be your nose guard, but could also be that kind of strong side defensive end, that Wazirike position that kind of flops back and forth. Those are the kind of guys that come to mind. But I just think the Campbell staff does a really good job of finding the best 11. And if on defense, they're going to play 25 guys in a game, like who are the best players, and let's get them on the field in a position that they can succeed in. All right, who are we going to get to succeed in those positions?
Last guy I'll say too, which I think Clanton loves guys that are just nasty, is KO. I think KO.
Oh God.
I think Clanton would have loved to have KO on the staff.
100%
on the team. All right, Aiden, what's next?
Sticking with Scotty P, what was the worst road game experience you guys had as a player?
Baylor. Getting beat by a bazillion.
Yeah, I wasn't a part of that team.
Worst. That was the worst. Oh.
The worst road game experience, I would say...
he had in parentheses hotel issues, flight issues, illness, etc. So I'm thinking more like off the field, no matter how bad you got beat by Baylor.
One year we played Oklahoma, and I think you're on the team here, Jeff. The fire alarms went off twice in the middle of the night. And
that was the year, that was 2009. That was the year I was on the team, but I redshirted. I didn't travel.
Yeah, so we were at Oklahoma. The fire alarm was pulled twice. A lot of guys got sick, like after the trip. Like I don't know if it was food poisoning, and then a few guys in the team had bed bugs. So it was. Were you
staying at the Embassy Suites or no?
I think it was. Yeah, I think it was because there was a I remember the hotel because there was a group of like 10-year-olds there for like a, I don't know, baseball tournament or something, whatever it was, basketball, whatever it was, talking shit to us. And I remember telling Geyer, I'm like, you need to hold me back from talking shit to these 10-year-olds.
Oh, man.
I did not. For the record, I did not talk shit to them. I really wanted to, though.
I'm trying to think of any other experiences that we had that were like
I was in
hotel
Nebraska,
and travel wise bad.
Nebraska,
the Nebraska game, again, that was my redshirt year, so I wasn't at traveling that, but everybody was sick, everybody was puking. Our bus got peed on the way to Kinnick.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Remember
that too. We had people were pissing on our bus, throwing beer cans at the bus.
Yeah, so that's that. I mean, it's a rivalry, but also sort of like, come on, guys, like that. There are better ways.
I will say the opposite though. Maybe one of the better experiences we had playing at Lincoln. After we beat them, they were very congratulatory, very like, "Hey, great job, guys." I'm like, "You guys were ranked, I think, and we just beat you guys in a very ugly game. Like, why are you so nice right now?" And I would say that Lincoln, that Memorial Stadium, right? And that was called that was one of the more fun environments I played in because they were right on top of you. It was loud. I couldn't hear Brantner, who was 4 feet from me. I couldn't hear him talking to me.
Yeah, I think that kind of, I don't remember any like really bad hotel experience. Like there's some where like the meeting rooms are really tiny and like you're sitting on somebody else, like you can smell everybody's shoes, you know, like that kind of like, but I don't remember any specifics. I take that back. There is one, and it's we lost at Kansas State. This would have been 2012 maybe. And it was a lightning delay for I think 2.5 hours. And so, I mean, you go get warmed up, so you're getting all sweaty. And like, if you've ever been around pads, whether it's hockey pads or catcher's pads in baseball or football pads, or imagine like volleyball knee sleeves are about the same thing, where like you can get them clean and they don't smell, but as soon as a drop of moisture hits them, then that like stink comes out.
Ugh, put that in a candle for me.
So you go get warmed up, you get everyone's gear smells like that now, and now you go sit with that for 2.5 hours. Your ankles are taped. You're not gonna, because you don't know when, you can't like, all right, I'm gonna take my ankle tape off or my ankle braces off, and then I have to get them back on afterwards because you don't know if it's going to be 30 minutes or an hour and a half or 2 hours. So you just got to leave everything on. You're just in this, like the pads are not super comfortable to sit in for 2 hours. The other thing was that locker room's not very big at Bill Snyder Family Stadium, and the bathroom stall doors didn't have doors. Like there were some of them that just the doors fell off and they never bothered like putting them back on. So like, and right in front of that, so if you can just picture the bathroom layout, as you walk in, and I think the urinals are immediately on the right, the sinks are on the left wall. Like you'd walk in and you just, if you put your left hand out, you touch all the sinks. And if you were to keep walking past the urinals, the stalls are on the right. Well, the sinks go all the way down and the stalls are on the right. Well, if they don't have doors, what's right in front of a sink is a mirror. So you're standing there, you get done peeing, or you get done just going to wash your hands, and in the mirror over your shoulder you just see somebody taking a shit. So they're just
bonding.
Hey, how's it going in there, tough? You good? So I would say that the lightning delay Kansas State game in 2012, that one I would say is the top of the list.
The last thing for me, not negative, very positive, with Chiswick staff the day before, the meal before, the dinner before the game, we would have prime rib every time.
That was Rhodes too.
And etouffee.
Ooh, we didn't get that.
Like a etouffee cream, which is like extremely rich. And people are like, why do you want to have like a heavy, rich meal? Like, aren't you going to shit your pants? No, had a very hearty dump the day of the game. They just made, lightest dog wins the race. Oh yeah. So I was good to go for the game.
It's good.
I'm not Jeremiah George in it.
That was a long rabbit hole. Sticking kind of in the same realm.
Yeah. Scottie Pippen asked those questions. Thank you.
Cyclone World, what is each of your favorite and least favorite places you played during your careers?
I feel like it's hard to separate the result of the game from the stadium itself, because like I never enjoyed playing at Oklahoma because we lost every time. Oklahoma and Kansas State were the only two teams that I didn't beat in my 5 years that I was there. Mm-hmm. So I never enjoyed playing at Memorial Stadium but I kind of enjoyed playing at Memorial Stadium because the crowd knew when to be loud, and they like policed themselves pretty well. Like
Their campus is beautiful too.
There was one drunk guy I remember that was like trying to talk trash with Ernst Brunn, and we're down. It wasn't like bad. We were down like 14 or something at this point in the game, and some really drunk guys trying to engage. And at Memorial Stadium, it's sort of like Kinnick has now backed up their walls, but it used to be sort of like Kinnick and OU were the ones where like it's like sideline, 3 yards, benches, 2 yards, wall, and the fans are right there. So they're like 6 yards from the sideline. It's super tight in there. So you have some drunk guy that's trying to, and you can hear every word, like every word that somebody's saying in that stadium. Well, that drunk guy's trying to start an argument with Ernst. Ernst turns around and tells him to shut up. And there were other people in that drunk guy's row that went to get security to get that drunk guy out of there. So like that was kind of fun. I would say, so I liked it, but I didn't like it because we never won. DKR was really cool at Texas, mainly because we won there. And you get to shove it up Texas to say we beat you there, like that one. I would say for very separate reasons, my last two, and then you can say yours, were at Kansas because it felt like a high school game. Like there used to be a track around that stadium, and then there just wasn't. But they kept the stands that far back. So like as close as Oklahoma was, it's like 6 yards away from the sideline. You're like 25 yards away from the nearest fan. So you can just have a conversation at like normal conversation level, even when they're a full throat. And there's only like 15,000 people in the stands, 8,000 of which are Iowa State fans that drove down from Des Moines. So it was never loud. And we always, in both times that we went down there, or when I went down there, we won by like 35. So like just beat the shit out of them. It felt like a high school environment. So that, and then I would say always playing at Kinnick, despite the getting peed on the bus, because of how much that game means for both sides, you can feel the energy. Like the second you go out for warm-ups, or the second you get into the locker room, like you can feel that energy. And I was 1-1 at Kinnick. And like I would say at Kinnick because of the juice that game has. And that was the same at Jack Trice. Like that game, there's more piss and vinegar in that game. But yeah, Kansas, Texas, OU, and Iowa were the ones that pop out to me.
I would say the worst places that I ever played was Kent State because it felt like a high school game. There was like 3,000 fans there. We didn't want to be there. We beat them. It's my sophomore year. Although it was a good win because Iowa State at that time had like the longest road losing streak. And so we were able to, get that monkey off our back. I would say Mizzou, that was, I didn't like
that
playing
stadium
there.
sucks. The
sucks.
Colored, everything that's not green.
It's like a half inch.
It's like a half inch shorter. So like the stripes, the numbers, the hashes, the Mizzou logo, like it's legit. Like walking between like if you have wood floors and carpet, it's like walking between that, but it's all carpet. They're just at different heights.
I would hope it's changed now that
I would hope
in
so.
the SEC, and I'm sure they've gotten. But yeah, that sucked to kick on because if you're kicking on a hash or the ball's on, a yard marker, it's your half inch, whatever.
It's like playing golf out of a divot.
Yeah, so I didn't like playing there or at Kent State. UNLV, the experience before the game was nice. The hotel was super nice because we're staying like on a resort, so it was really nice. But the stadium itself sucked. And I had this little 8-year-old kid talking shit to me the whole game. The best places I think
you get shit talked by children a lot.
It comes with the territory being a kicker. The best places I feel like I played at were Colorado. I love Boulder, love Colorado. The backdrop.
Cool. Yeah, that's cool.
Seeing Ralphie run around in the mountains. It's a fun stadium. I almost walked on to Colorado. I don't know if you knew that. So I've always had a soft spot in my heart for Boulder. And then A&M. I liked A&M. That was really fun to play at too. It's very culty there, but it's also they have a very rich tradition. So it's really cool. It started the fourth quarter where they're all linked arms and they're all swaying. I remember just looking up and just watching everyone like this is what college football is. So I think those two are probably my two favorite places to play. Aside from Lincoln as well too. Lincoln was fun to play in.
Again, result. It's hard to separate the result from the stadium.
Yep.
Cloner Jams, what opposing player talked the most crap? Which ISU teammate talked the most crap?
Jacques. I
was going to say LJ.
Jacques. Basically pick your defensive back.
Me.
Jeremiah is another one. Jeremiah talked a lot of shit.
Me. I talked a lot of shit.
Grant talked a lot of shit. I just didn't engage as much in practice with you. But I'd say Jacques. Jacquez Washington, a lot of shit talk.
And then what player? You probably know better than I would, because I didn't really have. I mean, the only time that anybody really talked shit to me was when I declared the guy from Kansas State, and then you hear me, I'm coming for you, motherfucker, and then toss me. That's the only time anybody's really talked shit to me.
I would. I don't think of any one person that talked shit. There were, teams that talked shit. Like, I don't remember. I don't remember one person that's like legendarily great. Baylor and TCU were the two teams that would just, non-stop just jawing the entire
Baylor
time.
Triple, I do remember that.
And there's one that if you're gonna talk shit, I get it, like it's a thing. But if you're gonna do it when you have an upper hand, or you're at least on neutral ground. When you just got your ass kicked is not the time to do that. And there's one play where I was on the front side of a run, and I'm playing an H-back. So like there's the tight end, and then you're 1 yard over and 1 yard back, and I'm just blocking, and it's a corner. So my job on that is just take the end, whoever the contained player is, and just push him straight sideways. Like just take him out of bounds. So it's a corner. I outweigh this dude by 60 pounds, and I get, good position, hands under chest pad, and I'm running him sideways. Like he's on the sideline, like out of the play. And he's like, "Is that all you got?" I was like, like with a couple other profanities and whatever. And I was like, I didn't even respond. Like I just giggled.
Brother, look where you're at right now.
Guy, you're on the sideline. Like this is not the time. Like if you held me to a stalemate, sure, you're a corner. I'm a at this point a 240-pound fullback. Like that's cool. Like, but I just pushed you like 25 yards sideways, and you're on the sideline. But I've said this before. I don't know if I was unique in that I just would not get shit talked a lot because I would be really complimentary, and it's sort of like Andrew Luck, but not to that same degree. Where I'd be like, "Hey, good hit, man," and like just start a conversation. So like I remember Tom Wart was a linebacker for Oklahoma. He was the same grade that I was, so I played him for all 4 years. As fullback / running back and middle linebacker, you're going to see them a lot. So you get out there in TV timeouts, or you go out there and they run another commercial, they're under review, and like you're out there for like an extra 45 seconds to just standing around. And I would just start talking, like, "Hey, how class is going?" It's just start talking to them. And so over the course of the years, he and I would just like casually have conversations on the field. So Tom Ward, if you ever run into a Tom Ward that played linebacker at Oklahoma, tell him he's a good dude. So
let's try to bring him on. On next week. I was gonna say,
Tom Ward.
You should have done like ongoing jokes. Like he tackled you, ooh, knock knock, and then next time he tackles you, he says, "Who's there?"
Or if I got to block him, say, "Hey, why the chicken cross the road?"
Yeah.
All right, from Desirop, from a player's perspective, did you ever look at new / incoming players recruiting ranking? Also, if you didn't look at rankings, was it easy to pick up who might be a higher or lower ranked recruit?
I did. I when deciding where I was going, I looked at obviously the roster if I could have played, and then who was already committed. There's a lot of things I looked at, and obviously when we got there, I would but I would notice who was coming in, not just from Iowa State, but around the league. And I've still kind of done that to see who, basketball and football, who's coming in around the league. And Chiswick's staff, his wife was really big on stay off social media. Don't read the newspaper clippings, because if you have a good game and you read it, your head could get big, which then could throw you off. Like just stay laser focused and block out all the outside noise. So I let that get to my head. Probably sophomore year on, and I shouldn't have. So I wish that I would have stayed off any kind of social media and not read the headlines and stuff. But yeah, I kept track of recruits and rankings and all that.
I never did, and I still don't. And there's two reasons. One is kind of personal anecdotal. You know how many stars I had? 0. I had an NA. I didn't even have a 0 star. I had an NA. Like no one even looked at my film.
You probably didn't even have a picture either.
I had the same amount of stars as Jeff Woody.
Yep,
wow,
you sure did.
Wow.
You sure did.
I had more stars than Jeff Woody. Wow.
So the fact that I had 0 stars means that it's not a representation of the quality of the player. It's a representation of the popularity of the player. So you have a guy who goes to a camp and runs a Uncle Joe's running the stopwatch. Oh, you're running a 4.4. Look at this kid. And then all of a sudden, a writer from Rivals at 247, who's never actually seen the kid, just reads Uncle Joe's stopwatch time at this camp, and now this kid runs a 4.4. And then every time you watch that film, you're just looking at it through the lens of this kid runs a 4.4. So when he's running away from people, you assume that the other kids are fast too, versus if Uncle Joe timed him at 4.7, you go, this kid's slow. That means the competition that he's playing against is slow. So it colors, I mean, it's human nature. It colors the thing. But so that's number one. Anecdotally, I had 0 stars. And so the other people that I beat out, like to get roster spots, like to get snaps, like there are 3 and 4 star guys that I ended up beating out. So like, what does it mean? And second thing is how those stars actually get made are, I imagine, about the same now. It's not a science. Like there's no like algorithm that predicts what someone's going to be there. And like en masse, if you have more 5-star guys, you're likely to have more of them turn out. But how it happens is that like kid goes to a camp or some recruiting service like Rivals or 247 or whatever other I don't know, whoever. They come up with they watch this kid at a camp and they go, some 24-year-old recent journalism school grad who's covering the Kent State football team who goes to this camp in Ohio goes, I think that guy's a 3-star. I think that guy's a 4-star. I think that guy's a 3-star. And there's like 10 of those people that are just sitting that are all like somewhere between brand new out of school. And then you have like the Fitzes at, you know, or whoever that are actually like legit guys, but they're all in the same bucket. And then that's a composite ranking. So you have a bunch of 24-year-olds that just got done with journalism school that don't really know what they're talking about. They go, that guy looks good in a jersey. He's a 4-star. And then it just becomes that thing. And then that kid gets branded a 4-star. And the kid that didn't go to that camp, AKA me, gets no stars. So like, if you look at the recruiting rankings, then all that means is that they have a decent chance of succeeding, but by no means is that a predictor of how they're actually going to be. So like the 2 4-star guys, the highest ranked recruits that we had when we were playing there were Cedric Johnson and Bo Williams.
Rest in peace.
I mean, rest in peace to Bo, but like, how did they turn out as players?
Yeah,
they were the highest ranked recruits that we had in the 5 years that I was there. And I think there were 5. Bo was, I think, a 5-star in 1. Cedric was a 4, like a, you know, almost like it just doesn't. It's a bad system. So I would never stress about it. Like I just wouldn't read it because I go, all right, if this kid gets on campus, another person to compete with.
But then also you look at like Cedric when, you know, he's from East Texas and he's a 6'4", 215-pound freak athlete playing against, you know, middle school kids. So he looks like a fucking man out there. I shouldn't have cussed right there. Sorry.
Duck.
He looks like a man out there. And then he has offers from all these schools because it's like, oh, this guy's killing it. And he was a good athlete. But then, you know, when guys start getting more and more offers from schools, because I'm sure Iowa State doesn't really care about stars. You know, they want to look and see now. You know, they want to see what kind of player the guy is and make their own determination. But then I think when someone gets offered more and more by bigger and bigger schools, then their ranking goes up.
Yeah. So if you're looking at recruiting, like for those that do, and this is a Williams thing, and I think he puts it really well. I don't care how many stars he has. I care about who else wants him.
Yeah.
Where if you win a recruiting battle, like Alabama wanted Brock Purdy. All right. That's a stamp of approval that Nick Saban thought he was good enough, because Nick Saban doesn't care about stars. So Nick Saban wanted him, thought he was good enough. Yep. He goes to Iowa State. There you go. Like that's the type of thing. So who else wants him? So yeah, long answer to short question. I never paid attention to it because it never really panned out. And it was, I was a 0-star and I was beating out 4-star kids. So who cares?
Nate is King asks, how did Mahoney end up a kicker? What sports did he play when he started kicking field goals, and how did he end up at Iowa State?
Yeah, so appreciate the self-pointed question there. So I was
Did you write that question?
I was in ballet for
Did you
a
write
while.
that question? Are you Nate the King?
I'm not Nate. Nate is King. I think it didn't. I was in ballet for a while. No, I was a soccer player growing up. I played competitive soccer.
Football.
I was always playing 2 years up. And then I realized, you know, there was one night that I had to quit. I was playing basketball, soccer, and baseball all in one night. My mom's like, "You gotta quit one." So I quit soccer because we were starting to travel like to Texas, Oklahoma. And so then that was about 7th grade. So then I started kicking. What was the entirety of the question, Aiden? How to become a kicker and what else?
Let me pull it up again. When did you start kicking field goals, and how did you end up at Iowa State?
Yeah, so I started kicking field goals 7th grade. I was, they usually would go for 2, but 7th grade, they let me attempt a couple of field goals and PATs, and I started winning camps and stuff and realized, I can kick the ball decently well. I played multiple sports in college and then realized football was maybe my ticket to get my school paid for. How did I end up at Iowa State? I grew up an Iowa fan.
Sames. We talked about this.
Yep. And then, went to Iowa camps, and I just really got a weird vibe from them. And they offered a kid who I beat out at 3 or 4 camps that we were at. The one camp he beat me out at was the Purdue camp, where I had just started learning to kick off the ground. He'd been kicking off the ground his whole senior year, but then the next 3 camps I was at, I dusted him at. Grew up an Iowa fan. I saw Iowa State wanted me, and Iowa State needed me, and Iowa, offered me a preferred walk-on. I'm like, oh my God, I don't want to walk on. I want my school paid for. So I was on a visit to Montana State when I got a call from Jay Boulware, who was the special teams coach. He's a running back coach at Iowa State too. He probably recruited you, Jeff, I would imagine.
Sort of, yeah. Wayne Bolt was my recruiter.
Yep. So Jay Boulware, I think he's at Kentucky now. Was at Oklahoma for a while. Great guy. He offered me when I was in the airport coming home from my visit to Montana State. And, I saw that obviously Iowa State was in the Big 12. It was close-ish to home. At that time, I don't know if Geyer was committed or not, but I saw there's an opportunity that there was no kickers there's no scholarship kickers on the roster, so I knew I had a chance to come in and play right away. And then I really enjoyed the Chiswick's staff, and so I said, yeah, let's do this. That's how I ended up at Iowa State. Appreciate the question.
Jam Porsai asks, you have to tackle one of the following in their prime and keep them from scoring a touchdown, or you lose your manhood. Troy Davis, Breece Hall, or David Montgomery. Go.
My manhood's gone. I'm not tackling any of them, so I'm...
Oh, man. I admittedly, I didn't watch enough of Troy Davis to have an idea.
For me, I'd probably say Breece. I feel like David and Troy are probably too shifty for me. Not that Breece isn't, but he's more stick his foot in and go. But he also has some wiggle to him. Obviously, he's one of the best to ever do it.
Yeah, I feel like they're all going to be hard to tackle. Hitting Breece would hurt the least.
I'm going for the ankles. I'm not. Yeah.
I feel like the only way. So it's kind of like to rephrase the question from an offensive perspective, is you have to block Matt Talfo or Jake Knott or AJ Klein.
Nope.
Okay, for me, I've done that a bazillion times. I don't want to block Matt Talfo. I would block AJ before I block Matt, because Matt, 5'9", 240, squats 600 pounds, and is super low to the ground, and that's really hard to get leverage on. So the fact that Montgomery and Troy they play lower feels like that would just hurt more. Because I've hit linebackers and players that are just shorter, it feels bad. Versus Breece, he would be hard to tackle, and he could still truck you, but he doesn't. It wouldn't hurt as bad, but he'd make you look stupid. So I would say Breece would be the one that I would as none of those are good options. You're gonna be made look stupid, but at least I'm not gonna break my collarbone. I feel like Troy or David would break my collarbone versus Breece. I would just look like a moron.
I'm going to change my answer to David, though. I think of the 3, David is probably the one who might be the slowest. He's not slow, but he's probably the slowest of the 3. And he's probably more likely to run through you than Breece is. And if I'm going to tackle someone, I'm going to let them
getting trucked to grabbing an ankle.
Yes. I'm going to let them run me over, and then I'm holding on for dear life and trying, I'm going to try to not hog tie him, but you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, just grab the ankles, be an ankle biter.
So
yeah.
My manhood's gone. It's see ya. But David would be my answer.
BC Clone asks, craziest thing you ever did or saw on the field. During one field rush, 2 of my kids told me they were by a player doing shots that the crowd gave him.
Was that you?
I wish, man. I got hoisted after the Colorado game. I got hoisted, and I was cheering. Craziest thing I ever saw on the field.
I don't not necessarily a one specific thing, but like that's in the good way. Like, oh, look at that fun thing. Is like when somebody gets knocked out, like that's always a wild experience. Like when someone just gets knocked unconscious. I think it happened twice.
LJ and Moyaki, my freshman year, they both.
Yeah,
that was scary.
Yeah, so that is wild. I mean, crowd storms are always like storm in the field is always a wild experience because like I describe it's like the most fun, life-threatening mob you've ever been a part of, where you have 50,000 people that want to touch you at the same time. So I think it was the Iowa game and Oklahoma State. Were those the only two or do we have another one?
I had one my freshman year, or sophomore year. Yeah, sophomore year. We beat Colorado. Okay. To become bowl eligible.
Okay. So I would have been there for that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like everyone running on the field at the same time. You always just remember to like grab your helmet because that shit's gone. Like if you don't have your gloves on, if you don't have your shoes tied, if you don't have it is chaos, pandemonium in the streets when so everyone's going to take some. Please don't. Like I know it's a big type of experience. Just please don't. It's a big pain in the ass, especially a helmet. Like take a glove. If you're going to take something and you see a set of gloves there, take those gloves. That's fine. Like we'll get another one. Just don't take a helmet. Like they're fit to you. It's a lot harder to get a helmet to fit, like to get it to be comfortable. Just don't take a helmet, please. Just don't do that.
After the Oklahoma State win, I had a bunch of buddies in town because it was senior night for me, and they all I saw them on the wall, like because we were about to win. You were running, and we were on like the 2 yard line. I saw them on the wall, and so I met up with them like right away. I was like, yeah, cheering for them. And then one of my buddies had a helmet, and I told him I was like, put that back, like don't, it's like stop. But then after obviously after the game, we get showered and changed, whatever, and I go back to my apartment. They're all there. 3 of my buddies are drinking out of a Gatorade Powerade bottles. I was like, "Where'd you guys get those?" They're like, "Oh, we took them from the sideline." I was like, you bastards! So, and one of my buddies still drinks out of it to today.
It's a good one.
Yeah,
that's a good souvenir.
They were great ones. I don't really say anything too crazy. I don't think I was on the team when Jeremiah George shit his pants.
Yeah, I don't remember seeing that. Like I just remember seeing a picture of it afterwards. Like I don't remember like day of that happening.
I don't know if I was still on the team then, but I remember people saying he smelled so bad in the huddle. Like the huddles were horrible until halftime. So it's like obviously you had 11 guys and then
poo butt.
Poop pants.
There's a poo butt.
Yeah, so I never really saw anything like that crazy.
All right, Bird Dog asks, in your humble opinion, does the football 105 roster limit help or hurt the Cyclones? And how affected will our preferred walk-on program be?
I don't think that's a thing anymore. Didn't it get dropped from the House settlement? I don't remember. I don't know if it actually has or hasn't.
I'm not sure it's gotten passed.
I don't think that part's gotten passed. So let's play in a world where that does get passed, because I think in the world where that doesn't, which I feel like that's going to be the case, is that it doesn't have a roster limit. Because if you have a salary cap and you have to do this clearinghouse for all your NIL stuff, meaning that in order to get NIL money, you have to actually show documented purpose of that you're in a car commercial or you're in you're doing an advertising for a local deli. Like you actually have to do the work to get the money. So if you're going to do that, you can't just like have collectives giving people just a ton of money. And then the only other way that they're going to get paid is from this salary capped $20.2 million or whatever it is. If you want to have 700 football players and you want to pay all of them out of that, cool. You don't have a basketball program or any other sports because you're paying all your football programs. So there's going to be a natural ceiling, even if there isn't this 105 limit, because there's only so much that athletic departments will allow for people playing. But let's play in a world where this 105 limit actually
it'd be 105 scholarship guys.
It'd be 105 scholarship guys, and that's it. There's 105 guys, or just 105 guys in the roster, and you can fill all 105 with scholarships if you want. I think that's my understanding of it. So the scholarship limit is the roster limit. So there's no limitation on how many people you can pay for. Actually, to me, if that's going to be the case, if we're operating in a world where there's 105 roster spots, that's better for the Iowa States of the world than it is for the Alabamas of the world. Because the Alabamas of the world, they've got a bazillion guys that have, that are crazy freak athletes that are, you recruit them as freshmen, you redshirt them. while your Derrick Henrys and your Mark Ingrams are out there winning Heismans, you have this really young guy, and I've got 7 running backs in the room, and I'm just going to keep pumping in 5 stars after 5 stars.
Alvin Kamara transferred out because he was in that
because
running back room.
Exactly. So you have that. Well, if you have 105 as a limit, there's going to be a decent number of those guys that no longer have a roster spot. So where are they going to go? They're going to go to other places where they can get their school paid for. In addition, have a decent chance at actually playing on the field, which then that next quote tier down, air quote, heavy air quotes, would be your BYUs, your Iowa States, your North Carolinas, like that type of school where you're still at a high winning level, where you're competing for conference championships. You have a chance to be an NFL player, that kind of stuff. Those are the players that are going to end up being off of your LSUs that they could just stash for 2 or 3 years. That's now going to move over to the Iowa State. So I think it's beneficial. The preferred walk-on program, I was a walk-on, but I was also part of the 105. So like, I don't think it's going to change it that much because I don't know how many guys, because you could only invite 105 to camp. Like it's been a rule for as long as I know there's been rules. So no one's going to play much not having gone to camp in that season. So you kind of, I guess, lose out a little bit on the developmental guys over the course of time, but it's not going to be that much of a problem. In my opinion, it benefits the next tier down from the Alabamas, Ohio States, if there is a roster limit, but I don't think there's going to be a roster limit. I feel like it's going to be up to the school's discretion on how many athletes they have.
I think, to play devil's advocate, I think with 105, if there are only 105 guys, and no disrespect to you, if they were all scholarship guys, would you have been recruited over and they offered someone else? And then, the walk-ons who would be at Iowa State are now not there because they didn't initially offer them a scholarship? Or would they have, if they did have 105 scholarships off the bat, would you have gotten one? Mm-hmm. Which could also be true as well. So I don't know. I agree with you. I don't think it'll hurt Iowa State. I think they're still going to look for, the guys from the smaller schools in Iowa, whether they offer
the Brizinhas, those guys.
Yeah. And even I'm blanking on his name, the guy who played last year, who was a linebacker who.
Ryland Barnes.
Like, I think they'd still take shots on guys like that because they want to have, these small town farmer kids who are just hard nosed, gritty guys on the team, whether they're a walk-on or a part of the 105 and they're a scholarship now. And
I think to be a little bit more rose-colored glasses, I think the teams, if there is a roster limit, you're not going to be able to recruit and stash players.
Yeah.
So if you're a team, quote, developmental program, how many freshmen play at Iowa State? A ton. Yeah. Usually. Like, you're going to play in some capacity.
Especially now with the NIL and guys transferring so quick.
Right. So you're going to have a ton of guys that play right away. So you're not going to be able to, like I said, recruit and stash. So the teams that tend to do that, like the Sabans, like that's what Saban did. He's recruited a really good guys every single year, saying you're going to play for 2 years, but you have this All-American in front of you. But when you get to play, you're going to go to the NFL. Like that type of program, you're going to have to. You're not going to have 25 freshmen every year that you can just redshirt and then play some other ones. So I think that the teams like Iowa State that play them sooner are going to have a better chance, are going to have a decent chance. So I don't know. I don't think the 105 thing is going to be a thing, but if it does, it'll make a marginal impact in either direction, I think.
Yep.
In the same realm, this will be the last question. Sideputs asks, how pissed are you two that you just missed out on the payback settlement?
I think it's like 2 years. Oh man. I feel
I'm not sure I know what the payback settlement is.
It's like 2016. Like,
yeah, 2016 was
what your NIL value would have been were you to be able to have gotten NIL. There's a calculation of whatever playing time and yada yada yada, and then you can get a certain amount of money back from having not had the opportunity prior. So my last season was the 2013 season. The 2016 season is the first one that you're eligible to get this back payment. So I missed it by 3 years. Man, I feel like I would have. Aiden, you've worked with enough like people doing podcasts.
Woody would have gone platinum.
Oh my God.
Doesn't matter how good you were. Just
I would have
the
been
name
so
Woody.
Good. This NIL would have been very much down my alley. Oh man, yeah, a little pissed. I'd say a little pissed.
Yeah, I still got money though from like the video game using.
Yeah, the Ed O'Bannon one.
Yeah, I got a couple $1,000 from that. I honestly didn't really pay too much attention to this. I probably would have gotten some money because you're a starter. You know, I would have had some Mahoney shirts. Who knows if I would have been a sponsor for a honey company? I don't know. Would have been where I was trying to go. You know, trying to lean that way. To be honest, I'm not too upset about it. I got paid out a little bit, like I said, from the video games. I don't know what kickers are making right now. I know that Tyler Perkins, the punter, he's making. You know, he's got his shirts, and he proceeds from there. He helps put back into, I think, the Des Moines Public Schools, help him fund some lunches, and you know, he's a big baseball fan. He reached out to me a while ago and asked if I know of any Little League baseball leagues in Central Iowa or Des Moines area who could use some bats and gloves. He wanted to donate some. He wanted to buy some or give them some money so they could buy some bats and gloves. So I do know that the specialists are making some money. How much money? I don't know. I felt like we had it pretty good in Iowa State, obviously for the time. You know, had our school and boards paid for, got a stipend, got free meals all the time. So could I have a couple extra $1,000 in my pocket? Duh. You know, I could always buy a new pair of shoes or whatever. So yeah, I mean, am I pissed I missed out? Not really, but am I pissed that if I was 2016, I could have had a couple extra $1,000 in my pocket? I suppose.
Yeah, mine is not so much about the money, because like maybe it would have been some. I don't know what the value is. Like there's the more bites of that apple you get, the smaller your bite becomes. So like there's a bunch of people that are going to get it. I don't know how big the settlements are going to be. But the only thing that I'm irritated with, or not irritated, is like the what ifs. I feel like it would have been good in an NIL world. I feel like that would have been a fish in water.
Yeah, dude, you'd have been great for like a Viagra type company.
Or there's establishments on 380. You could do like Leachman Lumber. You could have whatever Beiser Lumber around here. You could have different, like the Woodsmith store. Tell me you don't think the Woodsmith store in like 2011 isn't going to go, hey, we'll give you a couple $1,000. You record some radio commercials. The Woodsmith store.
What if I think it's out of business now?
Yeah. No, they moved. They moved.
Oh, they did. Okay,
yeah,
good.
they moved. They're not out of business. They moved.
I saw they're no longer there. I was like, oh no, I love that store.
Yeah, they moved.
What if strip clubs approached you, like Beach Girls or like the Lumberyard approached you?
I would say probably not.
Wow.
It's not.
So you do,
I would say it's not my brand.
Compass?
It's not necessarily it's not my brand.
Kick on my way, man.
The Mahoney has a different meaning.
That's right.
I think
sweet like Mahoney.
Be a dingus to pass up that much money.
You know who's not a dingus?
Whoever put together the Aer Lingus College Football Classic.
That's right.
It's we're in summer. You know, we're only a few months away. We're in the middle of June. It's only in the end of August. We've only got a couple months away. The Aer Lingus College Football Classic. I feel like everyone's probably got their travel plans booked at this point. But if you haven't, cyclones2ireland.com.
I did see a discussion on Twitter about people who are going there and if they wanted to go to like the Guinness factory or Jameson. I'd say both if you can. I also saw someone say that, I think I saw Williams talk about it, that Guinness from a can or bottle in America is not as good as it is right from the tit in Ireland. So I enjoy Guinness. I mean, I'm not the kind of guy who would drink one every day, or I have a couple a year maybe.
Seen if I had one in my little beer fridge over here. I don't right now, but I generally do.
I enjoyed in college going to Old Chicago there off Duff, rest in peace, and having a snake bite, which is Guinness and cider. Those are always tasty. So I have heard that people who are going to Ireland debating whether to go to Guinness or Jameson. Again, kind of like the WWE. If you're there, do it all. Try some Jameson right from the tit too. You know.
I would just golf the whole time.
Well, that's why you're maybe a little bit of a dingus.
Yeah. I mean, I probably go to the WWE thing because that'd be quite the show.
Golf would be sweet too, though.
I would just golf the whole time.
There's time for it.
But, you know, taking a 7-month pregnant wife and a 2-year-old, or less than 2-year-old, to Ireland doesn't seem exactly like feasible.
What?
So,
I'll take your word for it.
Yeah.
All right. We got anything else, Aiden? That was the last one?
Yep. We got some maybe down the road if we need them.
Sweet. All right. That was fun. Jeff, you got anything else?
Nah, man. Nah, I'm good.
All right. Sweet. Appreciate everyone who submitted some questions. Sorry if you submitted a question we didn't get to it. Like Aiden said, we might have some down the road we can get to. We are at time, though. So thank you to all of our loyal listeners who stuck around for this one. This is a fun show for me. I'm sure Jeff liked it as well, too. And as always, remember, adopt. Don't shop.